What's up, Buddy Fighters? It's the Buddyfight News Corner back again with another deck profile. This one's for Prism Dragons, featuring the Buddy Quintessence Crystal Dragon Athura. He's a 7/2/7. You put the top two cards of your deck into this card's soul and pay 3 gauge. If this card's in your center, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects, and you cannot be dealt damage by card effects. He's got double attack, and he's got Soul Guard. And this is obviously Star Dragon World. This is the last of our big 3 deck profiles for XBT01, but we've got a couple more decks updated from that, so look forward to those in the coming few weeks. We've got Mill, Dragon Chiefs, Thunder Knights, and Wild Dragons. So we play 4 copies of the Buddy, same card, nice and pretty. Wish I had SPs, but we'll get there eventually. Right now, making the deck as good as possible comes before blinging it out. And we got Radiant Crystal Dragon Athura. This is the one from the trial deck. You put the top card of your deck into this card's soul and pay 2 gauge. If this card is in your center, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects during your opponent's turn. You got double attack, Soul Guard. He's a 7/2/7. Next on the size 3 list is a green dragon. We've got Green Crystal Dragon Sheldray. Put the top card of your deck into this card's soul and pay 2 gauge. When this card is destroyed, you gain 1 life, and when this card attacks, if you have 7 life or more, destroy a monster on your opponent's field. Double attack Soul Guard on an 8/5. What I like doing along with the destroyed gain a life, it procs off Soul Guard, so if he's destroyed and he still revives through Soul Guard, you still gain the life, which really makes Mystery Setting even better than it already is. And then it also helps Brush Upper, because Brush Upper you'll gain the life and then you can still get the gauge off of that as well. And then you got Conflagration Karma of the Future Garnet Diagram. Put the top card of your deck into this card's soul and pay 2 gauge. If you have a Prism Dragon item equipped, this card gets counterattack. He's got double attack Soul Guard, and he's 5/2/7. I really like this card. It came as a buy 2 trial decks, get 1 promo pack, and I really valued the double attack. I still haven't decided whether I want to use him or the other one that when it's destroyed you get a gauge in the flex spot. But I want to keep the 10 to 12 size 3s so I could see them more often, because when I was running only 8 or 10 it wasn't enough, so I bumped it up to 4, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then we've got the carry, Candy Crystal Dragon Galette. Put the top card of your deck into this card's soul and pay 1 gauge. If there's a monster in your center, the size of this card on your field is reduced by 1, and the monster on your center gets +1/+1. This also includes himself, for those of you that end up bricking as hard as I do. So you could plop him in the center, plop another copy of him on the left, and then equip Crystal Spikes, and he's getting +4/+4 while he's in the center. And I actually had a couple games where that +4/+4 carried me due to Prism Amulet and Brush Upper, and even Bruff Grinder, which is really a really key card in the deck. And you play 4 copies of White Crystal Dragon Rizzling. When this card enters the field, if you have a size 3 Prism Dragon on your center, draw a card. He's a 1/1/3, and he comes from the Secret Pack. Really nice card. It just replaces itself and it's still a body. It helps you hit the link attacks that you need to against Ein. Looking at you Ein players at my locals. And then we got 1 copy of Count Dawn, 4/1/1 Omnilord, so you can use 1 copy of him even though he's not a Star Dragon World card. And at the beginning of your turn, if this card is in your drop zone, you may pay 1 life. If you do, call this card from your drop zone. Since you usually have a monster in the center, unless you're taking penetrate damage, you're not usually low on life. So paying the 1 life every once in a while to revive Dawn in order to keep an extra attacker on the board isn't the worst thing, and it's really key in the Ein matchup where you need to link attack to get over a Quetzalcoatl, and if he keeps killing your size zeros like Riesling and Galette, Countdown's a recurring zero that you can just call whenever you need to. Moving on to spells, I'm playing 4 Brush Upper. You may only cast this if there's a Prism Dragon on your center. You choose a Prism Dragon on your field. The next time it will be destroyed, the card remains on the field, and then if you have 6 or more life, put the top card of your deck into your gauge. So back to what I was saying about Sheldray. He's still technically destroyed, so you still get the life, and you still keep the soul and him on the field. Same thing with Garnet Dragon. Because he's still technically destroyed, but he's like, you didn't shield the attack, counterattack still kicks in. And you got Prism Amulet. It's just the standard +3/+3 counterattack for Prism Dragons. It doesn't specify Prism Dragon monster, and your shoes are Prism Dragons, so that's relevant in Shadow Dive matchups or just times when they get over your Prism Dragon. You got 4 Radiant Shell. You may only cast this card if you have a Prism monster on your center and it's being attacked. You pay 1 gauge, nullify the attack, and deal 1 to your opponent. You got 3 Mystery Settings. When you cast it, it goes into the soul of a monster on your field. While this card is in the soul of a Prism Dragon, this card cannot be removed through effects. And then when the Prism Dragon that this card is in the soul of is attacked, you put the top card of your deck into gauge at the end of the battle. Oh no, not at the end of the battle. It procs at the minute you're attacked. But that ability is once per turn. Mystery Setting is really key for calling extra dragons, because unless you draw all of your protection, you're going to lose a dragon or two throughout the battle. So Mystery Setting lets you get the gauge that you need to keep your dragons coming. You got 3 Enhancement. It's a gauge and draw if you have a size 3 Prism Dragon on your center. And then, even though its border is all different, it's still relevant to the deck. It's Starjack Boost. You can only cast it if your life is 7 or more. It's another gauge and draw, and you can only cast one once per turn. I run a 3/3 split because sometimes Enhancement's dead if you brick, like I did on Friday a couple times, and there was other times where Starjack Boost was live and Enhancement was not, and there's other times when Enhancement is live and Starjack Boost is not. And there's also the times where you Starjack Boost into an Enhancement or vice versa, and that's 2 free gauge, and you effectively have gone through cards in your deck. Deck thinning is always deck winning. Play 3 Buff Grinder. You may only cast this if you have a size 3 Prism Dragon on your center. Choose one of the following 2. For this turn, all Prism Dragon monsters on your field get +2/+2, or you destroy a spell on your opponent's field. The +2/+2 is really relevant, especially since when you're on one of the Athuras and you've got your spikes equipped, he becomes a 9/9, and then the +2 pumps him up to an 11. Most link attacks that they're trying to do, they just hit just enough to hit the 9. So if you pump it up to 11, that effectively stops the attack, and since it's 11 for the turn, that almost stops all link attacks for the rest of the turn because there's nothing for them to hit. And then also spell destruction is really relevant between executioners and guardians and even the new Oni assassins with their set spell. You just don't want those spells around. I play 2 copies of Dispersion. You may only cast this if you have a Prism Dragon in your center. Pay 2 gauge and draw 2 cards. I feel like gauge it's not overly abundant, but I feel like there's enough in the deck that I can afford to run this. And again, I brick a lot, so if I need to call a Galette or a white dragon to the center and cast Aspersion, I can do that to filter through the deck to try to actually hit my threes. We're playing 4 copies of Crystal Spikes. You pay 1 gauge. The ability of your Prism Dragon on your center cannot be nullified, and it gets +2/+2, and this ability cannot be nullified. At the end of the battle that a Prism Dragon on your field is attacked, if you have a Prism Dragon on your center, deal 1 damage to your opponent. This ability only activates once per turn. It's a 0/0/4, and it's really nice shoots. The +2/+2 makes your already big dragons even bigger, and it makes them harder to hit. And then burning your opponent consistently every turn is really, really nice. It's almost like you don't have to do anything, but of course you got double attacking size 3s. So this just inches them closer to death every turn. Now I play 2 copies of Emerald Spikes. It's not as good as the Crystal Spikes, arguably. But you pay 1 gauge. Prism Dragons on your center get +1/+1. And then you can choose a Prism Dragon on your field and put this card into the drop zone. The next time the chosen monster would be destroyed, it remains on the field. So it gives it the brush upper effect without the additional gauge. So again, Shieldray would proc, counterattack would proc, whatever. And then last but not least, we got the Coupe de Grace Cristiano Crystal Shoot. You may only cast this card during your opponent's turn, during their final phase, if you did not take damage during your opponent's turn and you have a Prism Dragon on your center, and your opponent's life is 4 or less. It's very conditional, but it actually is live a lot more often than people think. It's pay 2 gauge, deal 4, the damage can't be nullified, and it cannot be reduced either. It's a great way to seal games. It effectively means your opponent has to play around your spikes while still trying to push for game, and then since they can't skip phases, there's no way to dodge it without gaining life. So it just puts your opponent in a bad position. Anyway, that's the build so far. This is still in testing, still work in progress. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the deck, and look forward to what else we got coming in the next couple weeks. This is Buddyfight News Corner signing.